Jay, 6 years ago, we wrote a book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. In that book, we laid out 4 basic models for success in the real estate business, fundamental models that you would need to follow, right?
That's right. The lead generation model, the economic model, the budget model, and the organizational model.
Okay. Let's talk about the budget model for a second.
Great.
In the budget model, we said that there was a basic ratio that showed up between cost of sale, expenses, and your net income. Mm-hmm. We said that your cost of sale should run roughly 30% of your gross income. Your expenses should run roughly 30% of your gross income, and you would be left with a 40% net income.
That's right.
Now, did we see a lot of agents that actually stuck to that model?
No, if I remember correctly, you actually analyzed people's books, like, 110 agents?
A lot.
And then we kind of rolled it down to the average of best practices.
What we experienced is that a lot of agents on that cost of sale immediately cut too favorable a deal with a buyer agent or a listing agent. They overpaid them. Best practices would have said with a buyer specialist, 50-50 split, maybe even a 40-60.
At most.
At most, absolutely. And best practices would have said a listing agent would be on a low salary and then possibly on a per listing
bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
But those two costs combined would not be more than 30%.
That's right.
Of your gross income.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think where they got in trouble is that they would start with a buyer agent instead of a showing assistant. See, if you start with a licensed showing assistant, then you let them earn the right to be a buyer agent, then what you're doing is you're always working from the lowest cost basis possible, instead of jumping out there and trying to offer the most amount of money to someone.
You're letting them earn their way up the economic chain.
Well, you can get a higher net income if you don't have a buyer agent or a listing agent on your team.
That's right, if you're doing the lead generation.
Because that cost of sale goes away.
You're not splitting the commission, or you're not paying them salary.
And you're not paying a referral fee for the business. There's no cost. Those would be the 3 costs of sales, and that's gone away.
That's right.
Okay. So you could eliminate that immediately. If you're an individual agent, then you should be on a 70-30, 30% of expenses, 70% net. And the other side of that, on the expense side, the 30%, that just gets out of whack because you overspend on marketing versus prospecting. Mm-hmm. And then you're not being efficient with your marketing expense, and or you're overpaying people by not holding them accountable, and so on and so on and so on. And the model's been busted now, and you're looking up and you have a big business and you're netting 5% or 10%, and you're going, my gosh, I'd have been better off if I'd have just gotten rid of everybody and went back to selling 4 houses a month or whatever the number was.
Well, the people we've seen in this market who are netting the most and keeping their expenses lean are the people really focused on the prospecting.
Yeah, that's right.
So that is one way to keep that lean and mean.
Probably the point that hasn't changed and was one of the biggest points that we made in the book, though we didn't draw a big circle around it, was the concept of playing red light, green light.
I love that. That made budgeting fun for me.
Yeah, well, the idea was this is about your experience. Mm-hmm. It's not about a common experience. Mm-hmm. It's a common set of models, but it's not a common experience.
That's right.
It's an equal opportunity, unequal reward situation. So you're going to set out in your market, with your behavior, with your ideas, with your scripts and dialogues, everything about who you are, and you're going to put forth these ideas and these concepts and see what happens. You're going to start spending some money. Mm-hmm. Okay. The second you write a check, every check that you start writing, you should spend a certain amount and have a certain amount of activity, and then you should hold those activities and expenses accountable for success. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you shouldn't spend any more money. You shouldn't keep throwing more activity and more money at it until what?
You get $1 plus from that investment.
Exactly.
It's an investment. It's not an expense.
Yeah. It sounds like you're going slow, and you are in the beginning, but success usually looks more like this instead of like this, right? And it's a curve because at the bottom here, before it ramps up, you're making mistakes, you're figuring things out, you're learning things, right?
You're testing and you're figuring out what works. And then when you find out what works, you can invest more in it and go bigger.
So what's happening in this process is you're not failing, you're learning how to succeed. You're learning how to do the right things. So the model, the model still applies, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the budget model, the 3 concepts, and how you approach that. The market hasn't changed any of that, has it?
No, we've got a benchmark. It's 30, 30, 40. Cost of sales, expenses, what's possible to profit. Set that out there. Figure out what your number is.
Yes, that's right.
If you're not happy with it, ask the question, why am I doing it differently?
Yes.
And then play red light, green light.
There you
Hold
go.
your money accountable.
There you go. Perfect.